हम्म. ओके, गुड मॉर्निंग पीपल. आज सुद्धा आमच्या इथे थोडा विजेचा लपंडाव चालू आहे. त्यामुळे जस्ट इन केस आय एम ऑफ द, काय म्हणतो आपण याला, लाईन, सी दॅट यू कॉल मी अप अँड टेल मी that I am not visible or I have left the meeting technically or whatever it is. So that's one clarification that I wanted to make with you all. And let us move ahead with where we had stopped yesterday. We completed majorly the technological, the human factors, and technology obviously is something which is human based. So when we speak about the technology and the technological factors affecting agriculture, we said yesterday that the need for use of machines initially came from the lack of availability of labor. Eventually, to save labor, a lot of machines were used. Developing countries, however, the conditions are different. And the levels at which nowadays, in fact, you will see that agriculture is something that cannot be practiced without machines. But the levels at which technology is used is different. That means at subsistence levels, the use of uh, technology is to some extent. Then small farmers, but intensive use of machines and plantations extensively require them, as well as cooperative farming also requires, and state farming also requires huge amounts of machinery inputs. Interestingly, you'll see that when we divide every hemisphere into two parts, that's the warmer part, the tropical part, and the temperate part. As such, the warmer part will have higher population, and the colder part will have less population. So consequently, the use of machines initially you'll see are found more in the colder part. Then plantation comes into the tropical regions, and you have a significant induction of machines in the tropical parts also. However, remember that because labor is cheap, the type of crops cultivated in the tropical region or of that particular type, and consequently, for example, you'll see that a crop like tea, okay, you'll see that howsoever it gets advanced, you cannot get tea plucking machines. As a consequence, human labor is going to be significantly required as far as the tropical regions are concerned. That was about factors affecting the whole topic on that. And then, just a moment, what has happened? Yeah. The next topic that we are supposed to be taking up is agricultural regionalization. Okay. I told you all yesterday that earlier we had seen a slide which speaks about the themes of geography, and regionalization is one of the major themes. This is that slide that I was referring to, the five themes of geography. It is around these themes that you will see geography normally tends to operate, and any sub branch of geography is going to operate on in and around these themes as such. Okay, location is something that uh, we cannot do with as far as geography is concerned. Then the place, okay, you'll see that uh, the natural and the human characteristics in a particular place, that's anything that's going to occupy space. Then of course the human and the environmental interaction, the movement of resources, the movement of individuals, and the last one, okay, that we spoke about, that's regions. And sorry, uh, a particular region is an area having common characteristics, and that is what we are going to be learning around in regional geography, however. Now, what is a region? It's the criteria. The criteria for demarcation of agricultural regions depends on the purpose for which the agricultural regions are to be delimited. However, before that, a region is an area which includes a number of places, all of which have something in common. Geographers categorize regions into two basic, physical and cultural. And आपलं geographyचा अभ्यास जो आहे that also depends on this physical and human. Now, because culture is more human based, इथे cultural वापरले गेलेलं आहे. Uh, Physical regions are defined by landforms, and you'll see that cultural regions are going to be defined by or identified by or demarcated by um, the human aspects, okay, the distribution of population and high density, low density, the qualitative type and the quantitative type as such. When we speak about region, what exactly does a region mean? Okay, you'll see कि you have ज्याला आपण म्हणतो now many things when we transpire between say synonymous terms in English and comparative relative terms in Marathi, you'll see that they could be confusing, but on a larger scale they happen to be the same as such. Okay, म्हणजे बऱ्याच वेळेस विभाग region म्हणजे विभागणी असं म्हणतो. Technically I would say it could run to the same, but then uh, I would say when we are speaking about it in a spatial context in geography, म्हणजे एका कॉलेजमध्ये वेगवेगळे डिपार्टमेंट्स असतील, वेगवेगळे विभाग असतील, but you don't say geography region, you say department of geography, you say department of chemistry, you say department of physics. When we speak about region, especially it tends to be a larger context in geography, and certainly it will be a larger context in agriculture as well. So when I am going to be translating region into Marathi, I would avoid using the term vibhag. I would say kshetra instead of region, instead of vibhag. I would say kshetriya, म्हणजे regional director, or you could say जेव्हा विभाग असतात म्हणजे डिव्हिजन्स असतात, की डिव्हिजन म्हणजे मराठीमध्ये आपण गणितामध्ये एका संख्येला दुसऱ्या एका संख्येने विभागतो, म्हणून त्याला विभाग असं म्हटलं जातं. त्या संख्येचा तो एक भाग असतो, विभाग. Okay, however, kshetra is independent, I would rather say. Vibhag is a smaller part of a larger region. Kshetra म्हणजे northern region, उत्तर क्षेत्र, दक्षिण क्षेत्र, पूर्व क्षेत्र आणि पश्चिम क्षेत्र as such. So regionalization is something. Now you can go by the physical regionalization, आपण जसं त्याची concept and definition घेतलेली आहे, and we could go by the non-physical or cultural regionalization also. Physical regions we have just said की you would say mountainous region आहे, म्हणजे त्याचा एक कोर पॉइंट असतो, त्याच्या अवतीभोवती त्या रिजनचं डेफिनिशन किंवा त्या रिजनचा समज समजून घेतला जातो. When you say mountainous, it obviously means that the height of that particular region, the altitude of that particular region is beyond a particular value above the mean sea level. Similarly, when I say plateau, similarly when I say plains, त्याच्यामध्ये सुद्धा river plains and coastal plains. Okay, all this is in physical part as such. Okay, then when I say agricultural regions, okay, you'll see that in nature, yes, nature does regionalize things as far as natural vegetation is concerned. But when it comes to agriculture, let me tell you that agriculture is more a human aspect, and that is why we need to regionalize agriculture further to understand what exactly is what purpose the regionalization serves through the process of agriculture as such. One of the major names as far as regionalization is concerned is Whittlesey. And Whittlesey says that region has a similarity in similarity of one element, in the sense that uh, when I say equatorial region, the temperature of the equatorial region, the rainfall of the equatorial region, and possibly even the based on the temperature and rainfall, the soil of that particular area, that region, equatorial region, is going to be say being the same literally in every continent. You move from Asia to Africa and Africa to America, okay, you will see that there is going to be a regional similarity as such. Okay, we could have Whittlesey says that we have multi-element regions, in the sense uh, elements that come into existence due to same or similar processes. हा पहिला point जो आपण पाहिलेला आहे की same temperature or similar temperature, similar rainfall, similar soils. Then regions which have no close relationship. Okay, you'll see that regions in northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, or in fact regions म्हणण्यापेक्षा seasons आपण म्हणूयात in northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, they have no close relationship. They're exactly opposite to each other, in the sense that the northern hemisphere, we are going to have summer at that time, we are going to have winter in the southern hemisphere, while we have say um, summer in the southern hemisphere. Consequently, we are going to have winter in the northern hemisphere as such. Then we have regions with an entire process of development. This, I would say, more goes with the agriculture as a process. Okay, so or process of development, in the sense that uh, a developed country, an underdeveloped country, and developing region, you identify and demarcate this with regards to a particular parameter of development that you're going to use. ही डेव्हलपमेंटची पॅरामीटर कुठलीही असू शकते. Then we come to agricultural regionalization. If you go into the history of agricultural regionalization, I would say when it comes to the Western type of agriculture, which we have seen yesterday, is more a profit-based agriculture. It starts with the advent of the Industrial Revolution, but it took some time before people settled down into agriculture, basically because uh, as populations moved into newer continents, you'll see the variety and the diversity of the climate, soil, etc., brought in the need to regionalize these areas as such. So you'll see that it was in 1917 for the first time that Baker and Finch, these were American agriculturalists who, for the first time, brought in Atlas of Agricultural Geography. Now, one thing we have to remember is when we are referring to research in agriculture, okay, you'll see the initial phase of research did happen in and around the Northern American continent. Not that it was not possible on the continent of Europe, but you'll see that Europe was densely populated, so experiments in agriculture were limited. That's one reason. And the USA had huge areas to open up, and thus experimentation. There was always a lot of scope as far as experimentation of agriculture as a practice was concerned. At the same time, if you see during these periods wherein agriculture was being practiced or agricultural research was being done in US. Okay, you'll see 1917 is a period around which the First World War was already operating in the European continent. As a consequence, you'll not have much references or advances as far as agricultural research and eventually agricultural regionalization is concerned in and around these places as such. Okay, but you'll see that gradually this atlas of agricultural geography, making it was being made available from the continents of Europe, South America, Asia, Africa, and Australia as such. But the problem was that while Baker and Finch had their own set of norms as far as their atlas, agricultural atlas in USA was concerned, different agriculturists from different continents used different parameters as far as defining their own regions As a consequence, there was a lot of confusion for demarcation of maps of various regions and crops and so on and so forth. So it was in 1930 that W.D. Jones came up with the standardization. He said, okay, let us standardize. And it is around this standardization that he said that we should be building or demarcating our regions as far as agricultural geography is concerned as such. What did W.D. Jones use as far as to standardize his parameters of regionalization? The first thing he said is that the percentage of land under various crops. Okay, he said that, okay, how many crops do we grow in a particular region, and what is the total area occupied by a particular crop in a particular area, and as a consequence you could transfer this into percentage. आता एक लक्षात घ्या कि when we go through the presentations or the points referred to by different agriculturalists, you will easily understand कि त्यांचा major focus जो होता हो हा profitization होता, maximization of profit होता. As a consequence, you'll see की त्यांचे जे पॉइंट्स आहेत हे सुद्धा त्या अनुषंगाने आहेत. इट इज नॉट विथ रेफरन्स टू सबसिस्टन्स लेवल ऑफ एक्झिस्टन्स. आणि ते जर सबसिस्टन्स लेवलवर असतं त्या कंट्रीजमध्ये तर इतका रिसर्च त्याच्यावर झालाच नसता. आपल्याला प्रॉफिट जास्तीत जास्त कमवायचा आहे आणि त्यामुळं याची बांधणी आपल्याला कशी करता येईल, याची मोजणी कशी करता येईल, याची मापणी कशी करता येईल. These were the major parameters that these agriculturalists used. And many of the times you'll see they were being sponsored, and because of the sponsorship, because the sponsorship comes out of profits, obviously they were looking at these things from that point of view as such. So the percentage of land under various crops. Now, why percentage and why not the total area? You'll see that when we move from a total area to a representative factor like percentage, it becomes easy to calculate as such. Okay, म्हणजे instead of saying so many thousands of wheat cultivation in so many lakh square kilometers of total area, agricultural arable area as such, to transfer it into percentage, it becomes easier to understand as okay. Not only the numbers fit into 100 percentage points, you'll see that the comparison between them also becomes significantly easy. So you'll see that invariably when you have varied data, you transfer that data into percentage to get an visible analysis of what is the percentage of a particular crop in that particular area as such. Then you'll see that the number of animals per hectare with reference to each crop. Okay, so if you're cultivating wheat, if you're cultivating corn, what are the number of animals that are being reared in that particular area? Okay, here this gives an indication that they are actually looking at the profitization. Then again, relationship between the quantity of milk and area under crops. Area पाहिजे तिथे ते R झालेला आहे. Relationship between quality of milk and the area under crops as such. Now they were looking at, he was rather looking at points wherein possibly trying to identify in which area, which crop area do we have a higher amount of uh, extraction of milk and so on and so forth. And then percentage of all working animals. Okay, so you'll see that it's basically a relationship between animals and crops in particular area. Are the parameters which W.D. Jones suggests in 1930. He also speaks about agri-regions or types of cultivations, cultivation of food crops for trade, agri-regions for milk, butter and cheese, and regions for rearing cattle for trade. Now cattle for trade basically is going to eventually mean meat as such. So you see that the types of cultivation would be based on these aspects. So if you are cultivating only food crops, for example, or you are cultivating high-ended milk products or dairy products as such, okay, That would be one more thing as such. And if you are cultivating animals for a product like meat is as such, okay, that is another thing as such. Now, interestingly, you'll see that the first one is more non-perishable commodity, but the other two are going to be more perishable commodities, and they would be requiring storage facilities and so on and so forth. Further down the line, you'll see that Hartshorne and Dickens come up with their set of points, parameters as far as regionalization of agricultural tracts and areas are concerned. Uh, they start with percentage of agricultural land under cultivation overall. Okay, agricultural land under cultivation. Then the percentage of each crop. Okay, so you would say ki it's a bit of development over what W.D. Jones is doing as far as trying to regionalize is concerned. Then the association with crops, as a association in the sense ki या crop बरोबर कुठला crop घेतला जातोय and so on and so forth. Number of cattle per square miles, you'll see that they don't forget bringing in animals basically, because animals tend to form a major component of a particular area as such. And then the per hectare production of each crop as such. It was in 1939 that Hartshorne developed his parameters further, and he brought in the human element to regionalization as such. So how human beings were responding, how human beings were actually calculating and cultivating agriculture as a practice in different areas. So there is an attempt to bring in the human aspect also. Okay, then uh, there is Whittlesey, who initially gives us the concept of regionalization, and the criteria which Whittlesey uses for cultivation of crops or regionalization of crop is crop and livestock association. Once again, you'll see that how much of livestock is associated with how amount of or what amount of crop that is being grown in particular area. What is the intensity of land use, whether it is intensive, whether it is subsistence, okay, what type of crop is being cultivated, and so on and so forth. So the intensity of land use is something that is being brought into consideration by Whittlesey. The third criteria is organization of agricultural production and methods of its disposal. Okay, how actually the whole process of agriculture is being managed in a particular area. Then the use and method of machine in cultivation and its level. Okay, the use and method of machine in cultivation and its level. आपण मागे सुद्धा पाहिलं की when we're speaking about technological factors affecting agriculture, an important aspect was that okay, machines are being used, but you'll see that the use of machine is not common in all types. Okay, there are different levels at which machines are being used with different intensity. Okay, so Whittlesey says that we need to look into what is the level at which machines are being used in the process of cultivation. That would give us one way to say regionalize the cultivation of different crops as such. And then he also speaks about buildings and other constructions associated with agriculture. In the sense warehousing आहे का, processing आहे का. Say for example, rice cultivation असेल तर तिथे rice polishing mills आहेत का. If you have pulses, the डाळींचे साफ डाळी पॉलिश करायचे कारखाने आहेत का, and so on and so forth. There could be harvesters, there could be warehousing. हे सगळं associated with agriculture हवं. So obviously with more of buildings around, that would indicate at a more developed region as far as agricultural practice is concerned otherwise. So you'll see that till Whittlesey, okay, most of the things are associated with the spatial aspect. Observe and induce, observe and calculate, observe and analyze. Okay, you'll see that it could have been all these from Jones, or in fact, yeah, from Jones to Hartshorne and others until Whittlesey. You'll see that most of it is associated with the direct activity. There is no quantitative aspect, it's all qualitative aspect. Okay, intensity of land use, क्रॉप अँड लाईव्हस्टॉक असोसिएशन, याचं प्रमाण किती आहे, अँड सो ऑन अँड सो फोर्थ. ऍग्रिकल्चरल प्रोडक्शन, त्याचे मेथड्स काय आहेत, यूज ऑफ मशीन किती वापरता आहात वगैरे वगैरे. ओके, त्याची लेवल काय, इनफॅक्ट किती म्हणण्यापेक्षा त्याची लेवल काय आहे. इट्स ऑल स्पेशल इन द कॉन्टेक्स्ट. इट्स वेन सम टाइम डाऊन द लाईन यू हॅव JC Weaver. आणि मला वाटतं तुमचं प्रॅक्टिकल जेव्हा असेल इकॉनॉमिक जिओग्राफीचं, त्याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला वीवरची मेथड, Weaver demarcated agricultural regions using statistical methods. You'll see that when we speak about, or rather we have spoken about the history of study of agricultural geography, you'll see that around 1930s onwards, okay, they've started bringing in use of statistical methods in various subjects. So agriculture and agricultural geography could not be left out. So you find here JC Weaver, who again is an American, who is looking into use of statistics as far as regionalization, whether regionalization could be possible with regards to using statistical methods. What he does is he calculates the percentage of each crop with reference to the total area and their association. Okay, total area मध्ये एक क्रॉप आहे, त्या क्रॉपचा दुसऱ्या क्रॉपशी काय संदर्भ आहे. He uses standard deviation as a process, okay, for that. And he comes up with multiple combinations, say for example monoculture, 2 crop, 3 crop, 4 crop. It has been seen that they had say crop processes right up to 7 crop methods also, but we will keep it to this minimum levels as such. So what exactly he uses? Standard deviation तुम्ही TYBA ला केलं असेल as a part of statistical methodology. What he does is, if we have let us say data with regards area occupied in crops percentage, okay, in a tabulated format, okay, what you do is you say, okay, this much is the area, and in that area you have this much percentage of a particular crop, say wheat, maize, jawar, bajra, pulses, and there you will see that you need to say convert it into percentages. So in the given example, you will see that wheat is the major crop, okay, but you'll see that it's less than 50%. So it cannot be a monoculture. Okay, in fact, you'll see that the second crop is maize, which is around 30%. Now you'll see that this definitely is not going to be an Indian example. कारण भारतामध्ये कॉर्न आणि व्हीटच्या बरोबरीने कॉर्न कल्टिवेट केला जात नाही, बिकॉज वी आर सबसिस्टन्स लेवल agricultural country. So we need a lot of produce as far as self consumption is concerned. So you would say व्हीटच्या बरोबरीला एक तर ज्वार असेल किंवा राईस असेल वगैरे वगैरे, but here this obviously is an American example. So they've taken an area, they've looked into the various crops that are cultivated. So wheat and maize together bring up a sizable, that's nearly 70%, but you'll see that it's not occupying the whole. So the rest of the 30% gets divided into jowar and pulses, and of course sugarcane is just 5% of the total area. Okay, so you take up this and we check that with one particular crop, you'll also see की, आणि हे तुम्ही मला वाटतं TYBA ला केलं असेल तर तुम्हाला हे माझ्या बरोबर समजत सुद्धा असेल की हॅलो, हा
फर्स्ट सेमला झालंय,
फर्स्ट सेमला झालेलं आहे. ओके, ग्रेट. तर यू विल सी की दीज हॅव बीन अरेंज्ड इन डिसेंडिंग ऑर्डर, की म्हणजे सगळ्यात जास्त व्हॅल्यू ही पहिली घेतलेली आहे आणि मग हळूहळू छोट्या व्हॅल्यूकडे जातात. तर मग फक्त एक क्रॉपची ही सिस्टीम आहे का, हे जर मला विचार करून काढायचं असेल तर ऑब्विसली आय विल से की टोटल पर्सेंटेजच्या 40% एरिया जो आहे तो व्हीटच्या अंडर आहे. मग ह्याला आपण मोनोकल्चर म्हणू शकतो का? तर यू गो बाय द फॉर्म्युला ऑफ स्टँडर्ड डिव्हिएशन, म्हणजे 100 मधनं 40 हे करून यू सी की द व्हॅल्यू कम्स अप टू 3600, विच इज अ व्हेरी हाय व्हॅल्यू. अँड ऑब्विसली म्हणजे आपल्याला ऍक्च्युली मोनोकल्चर हे नाहीये हे डेफिनेटली कळतंय बेअर आकडेवारीतनच, की wheat, which is the highest crop, is not even touching the half of the whole area. As a consequence, say it could have been outrightly rejected, but there is a process that needs to be followed, and as a consequence, we go by that particular process. आता इथे टोटल क्रॉप्स बघा, 1 2 3 4 5 क्रॉप्स आहेत. तर कुठपर्यंत जायचंय आपल्याला, तर 5 क्रॉप कॉम्बिनेशन इकडे आहे का, तिथपर्यंत जावं लागेल आपल्याला. बट 5 क्रॉप पर्यंत पोहोचण्यापर्यंत आपल्याला बाकीच्यांचे सुद्धा व्हॅल्यूज काढून ठेवावे लागतील, आणि हे व्हॅल्यूज काढल्यावर त्यांच्या कम्पॅरेटिव्ह व्हॅल्यूज मधून आपल्याला कळेल की विच इज द बेस्ट फिट टाइप ऑफ कॉम्बिनेशन as far as say the crop combination method is concerned. मग let us see if it is a two crop region. टू क्रॉप रिजन म्हणजे 50-50% त्या एरियामध्ये ते मेजर 2 क्रॉप्स जे आहेत हे ऑक्युपाय करतात का. तर 50%तनं 40% वीट आहे आणि 50%तनं 30% वीट आहे. सो यू आर लिव्हिंग अराउंड 30% out of it. So thus you'll see that the deviation value comes around 250, okay, which is drastically less as compared to 3600, which was a very high value, and that could have indicated that definitely this is not a monoculture, definitely not a monoculture. कारण जेवढी व्हॅल्यू कमी असणार आहे तेवढी ते पर्टिक्युलर कॉम्बिनेशन तिथे फिट व्हायची शक्यता जास्त असणार आहे, आणि जेवढी व्हॅल्यू ही जास्त होत जाते तेवढी यू आर डिव्हिएटिंग, and that's why he is using mean deviation. You are deviating from the mean value. तर वीटच्या बाबतीत ह्या एक्झाम्पल मध्ये आपण पाहिलेलं आहे की there is a huge amount of deviation, and which comes down drastically when we are using the first 2 crops. Okay, you'll see that it comes down, but it's not in an appreciable group, basically because you are left around with 3 other crops which are still being practiced as an agricultural practice, not in high percentage, but then they still don't they still make 1/3 of that particular area. So when I go into checking whether it is a 2 crop combination, what I do is 52 crop म्हणजे 100चे 2 भाग केले. ओके, मोनोकल्चर म्हणजे 100%पैकी 100% भाग हा एकाच क्रॉप मध्ये वापरला जाणार आहे, वापरला गेलेला आहे. वेन आय से 2 क्रॉप, तर त्या 100%च्या 2 डिव्हिजन्स करतो मी. 50 + 50 = 100. पण मग त्यामध्ये 1 नंबरचा क्रॉप किती आहे, 2 नंबरचा क्रॉप किती आहे, याचं कॅल्क्युलेशन करून आय कम टू अ व्हॅल्यू ऑफ 250, विच आय ऑलरेडी सेड इज a significantly low value, but let us see if there is more variation in this value as such. So we move to the third combination, that's 3 crop combination. So we are going to now take the first 3 crops, that's 40 + 30 + 15, जवळ 85% area, still leaving around 15% around, but you'll see that you come to around 85% of that particular area. Now if we are to calculate the value here, it's 33.33%, and we put in the values of the actual occurrences of the first 3 crops. 40% wheat, 30% maize, आणि 15% ज्वार जी आहे. Okay, we calculate a value, and that is divided by the n, the number n, that's 3 crops as such. Okay, and we get a value which is 130.54. Now we move ahead and try to analyze whether this is again a 4 crop combination. 4 crop combination म्हणजे त्या 100% चे 4 भाग केलेले आहेत मी, and that's why it comes to 25% each. So 25% first crop, 25 to second crop, 25 third crop, 25 fourth crop. And now you'll see that because now again the percentage variation between the crop combination variation, that's 4 crop म्हणजे 25, and the amount of crop grown in a particular area, okay, it varies significantly. Okay, it varies significantly. So as a consequence, you'll see that the value is comes to around 143.75, which is higher to the earlier value. And as a matter of academic exercise, we go to, since we have 5 crops grown in that particular area, we have to move down up till the 5 crop combination, and fifth part of 100 is 20. So we divide this into say the various percentage of various crops that are grown, and the value comes to around 170. So you'll see that while monoculture is very high, two crop combination is low, but still higher than the third one. Four crop combination onwards, again it starts increasing. So the best or the lowest standard deviation is 130. So you'll see that in this particular area, the type of say the type of cultivation is a three crop combination. So the possibility of wheat, maize, and jawar being grown and being found as a crop grown in a particular area is higher. So this is a three crop combination as such. Okay, so you'll see that um the so-called explanation to the whole issue is being given down on me. थोड़ा सा हे वाढवायचा प्रयत्न करतो. Okay, from the computation above, it is clear that minimum deviation from the normal curve is in the three crop region, and therefore the area is a three crop region: wheat, maize, and jowar. In Weaver's method of determining crop combination region, sometimes there may be crops whose area may be insignificant, but the crop might be of great importance to the region. And as a consequence, you'll see that Weaver he devised a method to imprint the name of such crop or crops on the map after the crop combination map was prepared. Okay. So that's as far as Weaver's method of regionalization was concerned. A few more things need to be done as far as this whole process of agricultural regionalization and understanding the whole process of agricultural regionalization is concerned. But for the day, we'll stop here. Okay, we'll take up the rest of the things as far as regionalization, agricultural regionalization is concerned. In the next week, we have 25, 26, 27th, and 28th of August at our hands. So let us see how much we can finish. We will try to go beyond 75%, okay, of the total percentage of the whole issue, and that will be that possibly should be easily possible for us, because thankfully most of you all have done well as far as your PPT presentations are concerned. So that can be included at something which has been done. And fortunately, I did not require to be speaking again, because most of you all have worked very intensively on each of these uh, topics that you had taken up for presentation as such. Anyway, so that's all for today, I would say. And while I stop the recording, if you have any queries, you could let me know